welcome to the FilmPulse.net podcast. This is episode number 68. My name is Adam. With me today we have Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
Doing alright.
Doing alright? Great show lined up today. First we'll be speaking with director Matt Johnson on his film The Dirties, which was just picked up by Phase 4 and Kevin Smith. Then we'll be talking about some of what we've been watching, followed by a feature review of The Hangover Part III. And finally, we'll be going over this week's movie predictions and DVD and Blu Ray releases. First, let's kick things off with an interview with writer-director Matt Johnson on his new film, The Dirties, which won the jury prize at this year's Slamdance Film Festival and was recently picked up for distribution by Phase 4 and Kevin Smith under his Kevin Smith Movie Club label. Let's take a listen. So this is your first feature film, right? And it won the grand jury prize at Slamdance. It was picked up by Phase 4 and the Kevin Smith Movie Club label. And not to mention, we asked you on the show for an interview. So how does it feel to have your first feature film get so much acclaim and attention?
Yeah, it's quite a shock, that's for sure. Especially considering the manner in which the film was made. It was a lot like the web show that we made before, which was really kind of just like, in many ways, an inside joke for me and my friends. And I think this film reads that way. Like, you can tell that it's kind of like the home videos of like a group of friends. Mm-hmm. So when we were making it, we definitely weren't thinking that more than 400 or 500 people at film festivals would ever watch it. So it's surreal, but because stuff like this always happens in waves, like it's not like the night that the film screened, they were like, Kevin Smith bought your movie. Everybody loves it. Here are all the reviews. Like, it doesn't all happen at once. Right. So because like that kind of stuff happens so slowly, you never really get that one moment where you're like, oh, wow, we're so lucky. This is so great. Although you feel that. It's not like there was no point where I was doing cartwheels like, ooh. Still the most exciting moment of finishing the film and like of this movie was screening it to like the interns who helped make it, who were these young guys who really liked it, and then when we heard that we got into Slamdance. Those are the two biggest moments. Yeah. When it was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
And this just it was just announced a couple weeks ago that this got picked up by Phase 4 and Kevin Smith, and I think that there was a quote that Kevin Smith put out there, and I actually have it here. I just want to get your response. He says, "This is the most important film you will see all year. Matt Johnson has mashed up the found footage, film, and faux documentary genres and crafted the most original, hypnotic, and human movie about a monster in the making you will ever see. Not only is The Dirties an astonishingly great first film, it has the stones to deal with some very real subject matter in a mature, important way." So how does it feel to have Kevin Smith say something like that?
Well, that was pretty crazy. When we read that press release, it was amazing. I'd spoken with him on the phone a few months ago, I think in January, when he'd seen the movie and just wanted to talk about it, and was I really liked it. Maybe there's a way we could acquire it, but that was so early on, and he had that same attitude. And I remember it was such a shock to me because I was such a huge Kevin Smith fan when I was young. And then I sort of lost touch with a lot of his stuff. And then when I heard him talking about the film in that way, I was like, oh my gosh, like that. It's just not the kind of stuff that you would associate with Kevin Smith and his films like that. Like, he just seems like such a cinephile, and he seems like he really cares about this so much, like in the way that, you know, Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino will like present a movie and be like, this is the greatest. Yeah. So that was a really amazing moment. And at the same time, he's like quite a loquacious dude. So it's not like he's a poetic guy. Right. So anything he said was going to sound pretty good. Yeah. I think.
So I guess maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Maybe we should describe the film to the listeners and maybe what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in a nutshell, it's like a documentary made by two kids in high school about their lives and how they sort of get bullied and how they deal with it. And sort of what's interesting about it is they kind of jokingly decide that they're going to make a documentary about killing the bullies in their school. And the whole time you're sort of trying to figure out just how serious both of them are and how much of this is a joke versus how much of this is really going on, and you never really know. Um, uh, and outside of that, it just sort of is like a high school friendship story.
Hmm. So it is framed as sort of a found footage documentary. Aside from the obvious event that takes place, how much did you draw from your own high school experiences when you were crafting this film?
Well, I mean, everything I say and do is like straight out of my life in high school. So like the way that I behave and certainly the way Owen behaves is exactly like is trying to be as realistic as it possibly can be. In terms of like the bullying and a lot of like the crazy violence that goes on, I mean, that wasn't my experience in high school, definitely more like grade seven, grade eight. But for Owen, I think that was closer to what was going on with him, and certainly for Josh, one of the writers, we were all like every single one of those bullying events, we were all drawing from things that we would talk about as real things, like that opening scene where the bully grabs my hand and won't
Right.
go, but accuses me of not letting go of his hand. But that was a real story that we always thought was pretty funny. Um, so we tried to make each of the moments real, but in terms of me specifically, like I didn't get, I wasn't like afraid for my life when I was
Right.
in high school.
That's good. So, the film has kind of this meta element to it where the main characters are making a documentary about making this movie, and we see scenes of you editing the actual movie that we're seeing on the screen. And this is what really sets the movie apart from kind of your run of the mill found footage style. Was it difficult to structure the movie in this way? Because it's kind of a mind fuck if you think about it.
Yeah, I think it would have been tough, like if the whole film was written line for line. I think
Hmm.
you would have had to have been like a true genius to try to write something like that down. But luckily, we didn't have to do anything like that because we came from a school where we shoot things like they're documentaries, like we try to shoot drama like it's a documentary. And because Owen and I were such good friends, we could just go into any kind of environment, like whether it was a high school or like the street or anywhere, like a party in Thunder Bay, and we could just kind of be our characters and behave. And then afterwards, and like months afterwards, I could sit with the footage and kind of figure out structurally where everything could kind of fit. And then what's really cool is that even after that, we could go back and reshoot pieces of me putting everything together. So it was like we got to build it like layer by layer,
Hmm.
as opposed to like from the very start, all of us in a room with a pen being like, okay, then we're gonna watch Matt editing the scene that we just watched. Like that, we knew that those were going to be elements of the film, but they weren't planned. We just kind of slotted them in when we could. Um, and in fact, when you make things like that, it's actually quite easy to make kind of complicated things because you're sort of editing it scene to scene. And if something doesn't work or if something doesn't make sense, you can just change it, reshoot it, or take it out. Because, I mean, the movie cost no money to make, and it was just four of us at any given time. We could reshoot anything, anytime, right?
Hmm.
Because we owned the cameras and the microphones and stuff like that. There, like we were shooting scenes for like so the movie premiered in January, and we were shooting scenes at the beginning, like January 5th, 6th, 7th. There were some shots in the movie that were shot like just a few days before we screened in Park City.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, how much did this cost?
Production and post were different, but our production budget was about 15,000 dollars, between 15 and $20,000, and that was to shoot everything. And then once we finished it and it looked like we were gonna sell it, we had to clear all the music and like things like the posters and like the things that we referenced, like there's tons of pop culture on
Right.
screen in a movie, so
Hmm.
we had to legally go like around and clear all that stuff, and all that wound up costing around like 50 or $60,000.
Wow.
Which although I mean it seemed expensive, and it certainly was expensive to us because we were paying for it all ourselves. Like in the grand scheme of things, like it's insanely cheap
Oh yeah.
for
Oh
a
yeah.
for like an entire movie.
And
Because to us, it was like we were all film students. I mean, I'm still a film student, and so we were just kind of doing it with that mindset, where where we would spend as little money as possible and just try to do it where we didn't need any resources. So we were able to keep everything cheap. I think if we'd been doing it the right way and we had bought like those songs from the beginning, or we'd only worked with stuff we knew we could clear, it'd be a very different movie. I think one of the strengths of this film is that the filmmakers were approaching it with the idea that it would never ever be sold.
Yeah, and I've talked to quite a few filmmakers that have made movies just the way they want and not even worried about, licensing, copyright, all that stuff, and just did what they want, not even planning on selling it.
Yeah, I think it's very much the internet way to do things, because the web show that we made was all totally illegal, like all unsourced music, like no releases, no location releases, nothing. And so that's sort of what we knew. So we just made this movie the exact same way. And then we had a really smart producer in the end, Matt Miller, who just kind of went around and fixed all of our mistakes when it was all done. Plus, winning that award and then the awards that followed helped a lot too, because it meant that we could get like pro bono legal work and we could get people to really work with us. Because like there's no like real hard fixed costs. It's not like building a house. Like getting the legal work done for a film and like clearing music and stuff like that. They're all moving targets. Like it could cost, like this same film, everything exactly the same, could have cost like $500,000 to clear everything. But we had like really cool people working with us and people who wanted to get it done. So our music supervisor was like a genius. This guy David Heyman, like really, well, he was able to get all this music for almost nothing. It was amazing.
Yeah, and you have some great music in this movie too. I really liked the choices that you used, especially the bike scene. I love that whole scene with you riding down the street on your bike.
Yeah, I know. That's when you first realize that maybe this guy's slightly bent for the first time, and that was actually the most expensive song we had to buy.
Oh yeah,
it was going to be cheap. Kid Cudi was saying that we could have it for almost nothing, but the person singing it was like, no, it's going to cost you guys a lot, which was so funny because Cudi was willing to let it go for like no money at all. Because like when you're clearing music, you have to clear like the person who wrote the song and the person who performed the song. You have to pay them both the same amount of money, and no matter what that money is, you need to pay it the same. I don't know why that is. I think it's a ridiculous law, but
yeah, that's weird.
Kid Cudi was saying, "Oh yeah, you guys can use it for almost nothing." He was not saying this to me. I was not on the phone with Kid Cudi, but to our music supervisor and the person performing it. I don't know why, but they were like, "No, it's going to cost you like 10 times that."
And she was just covering it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, it fucked us. But we figured it out.
So you inject a lot of comedy in this film, even though it's dealing with some fairly serious subject matter. There is a lot of comedy. I mean, do you consider this movie a comedy? Because I've seen it referred to as a drama and a comedy, or maybe it's some kind of hybrid of both.
No, I think when people are confused when they try to label it, because it's not a comedy at all. Like it's because there's nothing like. It's funny. The term comedy is so weird. It's almost a dated like model of like telling a story, because what like the difference between a drama and a comedy is like that a comedy like can like break rules and like reality doesn't matter and stuff like that, which is not this movie at all. It just so happens that the two guys in this movie are funny and they're interested in making one another laugh. But like Superbad is a good example, like that, which our movie is quite similar to. Like that, a lot of that stuff is just drama, and these guys are really funny with one another. And what you're sort of laughing with them as though you're there. And this movie is sort of the same. Like I think what's funny about it is just that Matt is such a nutty guy, and he is always trying to make people laugh. But by the end of the film, that gets quite sad. Like it almost starts to like tip into his mental illness. The fact that he's always trying to be funny, and he's always trying to perform in a way. So
right.
What's funny at the beginning of the film, by the end of the film, is sort of like the evidence that things have gone completely wrong. So it's not a comedy at all. It's like, although it is funny. I mean, I think like just show like The Wire or whatever. Nobody would ever call that show a comedy, but I think it's like one of the funniest shows in the world. It's insanely funny.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
It's just an expression of how comedy, I think, is changing, and how people are so savvy about like the voice of the author that now, as soon as, at least this is speaking for me and my friends, like as soon as you can tell that somebody is trying to be funny or that you're being shown something that where the format of it is like laugh, you're supposed to laugh at this. There's nothing like more repulsive, I think. Like a movie like Bridesmaids or something like that, where you it's or The Hangover, where it's like you guys are gonna think this is so funny and everything
Mhm.
is kind of done to make you laugh. Like I think we're gonna see that form of comedy completely die out. Just
Yeah.
because it almost seems like stupid uh,
Hmm.
in comparison because that's not how things are funny in real life.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, we're already seeing it happen. So, like with comedy, it always goes through evolutions, you know?
Yeah, it's just getting more and more and more real. Like if you watch like a Mel Brooks movie or like any movie, any comedy from the 80s, like there are very few comedies that wind up holding up. Like Doctor Strangelove is one of the few. Uh, The Sweet Smell of Success. Like there's not many movies that were funny at the time and are still funny.
Yeah,
It's insanely rare.
that's absolutely true. Well, I want to talk about the more serious part at the end of this movie. And is it like a spoiler to talk about it? I mean, I think people know what happens towards the end.
Well, I mean, there's been dozens of interviews who've straight up said there's a school shooting at the end of the movie. He goes and kills everybody. So, I mean,
Well,
I'm not sensitive about those kinds of things.
Well,
So,
I want to talk about that in general. Are you concerned that people who believe violence in film causes violence in real life, that they'll see this movie and believe that this is making the case for them, or do you think that they'll be kind of just caught in this paradox where if a violent movie that explores the influence of violence in movies causes violence?
it's funny. I get asked that quite a bit, and it's silly because we had always thought it was going to be so clear. Like the reading of the film was going to be so clear,
Hmm.
in terms of not what it was trying to say, because it's not like we had a real thesis set out when we tried to make this movie. But I think one of the big points that the film is trying to make is that if you're in a situation, or if we as a society believe that seeing a violent movie or seeing some piece of culture or media can turn a kid from completely normal into a psychopathic killer, then there is another big problem going on.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is sort of trying to get at that very issue, getting people to ask that, because there is no such thing as like a Manchurian candidate who sees something and then completely changes.
Hmm.
Like somebody needs to be at a certain point in their life for them to use a piece of media or an action in their life or their mom saying something to them to then turn that into an excuse for doing something incredibly violent or even just something incredibly mean or something incredibly selfish or you like it's to point at the one thing that maybe influenced this person to behave or to model their behavior a certain way is to completely disregard like the first 200 pages of that person's life which molded them into this type of person.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. I
more than
mean,
anything that's what this movie's trying to get at is that there is like 99% more to this story than this one influence or the fact that this person could have access to a gun or the fact that this person got bullied one time that like if anything this is sort of an exploration of all of these causes and trying to give a more 360-degree look at maybe why some of these things happen.
yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think that more than anything, people should be looking at the what the real catalyst of this type of thing is, and it's certainly not a violent movie. You can watch Tarantino movies all day, but unless there's something else, stemming there, like be it incessant bullying or problems, family issues, domestic issues, I think that using film is a complete cop out.
Yeah, totally. And it more than anything, this movie is about sort of the celebrity that Matt is trying to attain. He's this guy who is completely powerless, only seems to have power in this small little micro world that he's really created, where Owen and the audience is his like sort of sounding board. And then as those things get taken away from him, he starts clinging to this kind of weird type of celebrity that he's created for himself. And he just wants power. He just wants to have some type of social power. And the media and his own image in video, it sort of becomes that power to him. And when you watch the movie, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, like, there's like one or two violent movies that this guy watches. It's not like he's sitting in his, it's not like American Psycho where he's doing push-ups watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, this guy watches like, you know, sort of American indie movies from the 90s. Like that's like kind of the stuff that he likes. Like he's into Being John Malkovich and this kind of stuff. So it's not even like he turns these influences from violent movies into reality. He doesn't even follow any like violent movie tropes. But what you see is a guy who started a movie quoting films and culture and television and everything, quoting it incessantly, sort of as a way to have an identity. And then by the end of the film, he's quoting himself from his own film.
Right.
He becomes his own subject. And I think that's more what we were trying to get at. Certainly, we aren't trying to make the case that, you know, violence begets violence.
I never thought that, but
of course. But we get asked that question all the time. I mean, I completely understand it, because certainly there is a fear that, you know, like the plebeian masses could sit down and watch a movie like this and be like, oh man, so that's what it is. But I don't think nobody who sits down and watches the entire film, I think, leaves with that thought. I think audiences are quite smart, and they see this more as like one story.
I would also imagine that the people that see this particular movie are going to be smart. You know what I mean? Like the people that would be offended or, you know, feel that way probably won't see this movie to begin with.
Well, they won't make it through the first 10 minutes, that's for sure. That's one of the great defense mechanisms a movie like this has, is that the language and the culture is so alienating that if you're like over a certain age and not tolerant of these types of things, then you're not going to make it through the first 10 minutes of insane references and stupidity.
Exactly. So
nobody will.
I wanted to also quickly mention, again, keeping with that final scene, the way that you used, did you use GoPros for that scene?
Yes.
GoPro cameras?
Yeah.
The way that you set that up, I've seen a lot of found footage movies. I'm a big horror movie fan, so I've seen a ton of those. I've seen everything found footage, and there's always holes in how they get shots and how they can justify the way that it looks, be it with editing or how they got that angle or whatever. And this was the first one of these, and I don't even want to call it a found footage. I'm just going to call it like a mockumentary or faux documentary, where it all works. And the way that you showed him setting up the GoPros and getting that all with the different angles, I thought that was genius how you did that.
Well, that to me specifically, the point that you make about horror films and other fake documentaries is like a big thing to us, because we're all film students, and like breaking those types of rules are crazy.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because the whole point of doing something, especially in a horror movie, where you want the audience to believe everything that you're doing, and you need them to think that, you know, monsters are real and, like, you know, evil exists and it has an incarnate form. Like, you can't like then break a law of filmmaking. Like, it's insane. And plus, another thing is that those are the easy things to do. It's way harder to make a horror movie with a monster and like get a realistic looking monster, I just mean practically, than it is to explain how you got a camera somewhere. So I think it's so lazy to not like sort of like cross all your T's in that sense. But that's, you know, that's funny, because I get asked about that quite a bit, that, you know, we seemed like we were so dedicated to it and we cared so much about it. And it was just because we made the format a part of the narrative.
Right.
Like, we made the cameramen we just put ourselves in the world of these guys are making a film. And I think it's like those special effects movies that need to cheat when they want to like show a master shot, or when they want to, you know, show as many angles of the brutal killing as they can. But because we didn't have those issues, I think it made it easier for us to just. Plus, we had no money, right? So So we had to just kind of do it. I think we sort of stumbled into it, but
Yeah,
philosophically, I agree. I think that's one of the big problems with a lot of those. Oh man, what's the Spinal Tap guy?
oh, Christopher Guest.
Yeah, one of the whenever I would watch those films back in the day, I would always have issues with that, like how they would get a camera in certain places.
Yeah, he actually has a new HBO show that premiered 2 weeks ago, and it's loosely set up like that, but it's like breaking rules all over the place. Another one that comes to mind, it was End of Watch, the Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, of course, yeah, a movie or Chronicle.
Yep.
But I started to watch it TIFF, and I was like, oh my God, if they're able to keep this up the entire movie, this will be amazing. Because the whole first act is like the camera work, like they do it all so legit, but then it gets crazy,
Yep.
and they need to start being dramatic and doing zooms and stuff like that. And
Yep, and then how they cut to like the gang members
exactly.
and showing like that whole thing, and that really pulls me out of it. And I feel like I liked End of Watch, but I feel like if they just kind of threw away the whole justifying the found footage thing and just left the camera work the way it was and just made it just a normal movie without trying to force this found footage thing in there, I think it would have been a lot more effective.
Well, found footage is such a buzzword in Hollywood that everybody's trying to inject it in whatever weird way they can into their movies. They think that somehow that's going to get young people interested in their movies, which is crazy because formally, I don't think young people are interested in like little tiny pieces of found footage. I think what audiences like about it is that it somehow heightens the realism when it's done right. But then they break their own rules and they make it unrealistic. So, but you know what? I think only savvy audiences are kind of getting that. I think if you showed somebody End of Watch and they were like, "So, were there anything wrong with that movie?" Formally, they'd be like, "No." I think it's the kind of thing that critics and filmmakers notice, and that
Yeah,
audiences don't like because it's just like the world of a movie. How does a camera cut from one angle to another angle anyway? Like it's also crazy.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, again, I think that the way that you put everything together in this movie was definitely some of the best I've ever seen in that. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you very much.
So any ideas on release dates on this? I know that it's going to be coming out in theaters and video on demand. Any ideas yet?
Yeah, I don't know specifically. I think they were saying at the beginning of October is when they wanted to release it, and I think that may be it. But they're still working. Phase 4 and Kevin Smith are still sort of working out the details themselves.
Okay,
But
so
as soon as I know, I can tell you.
absolutely, yeah, definitely do that. So final question: I noticed in your house you had a lot of Magic cards taped
Yes.
to your wall.
Yes,
Was that two questions? Was that actually your house, and are you a fan of Magic the Gathering?
that was the co-writer and co-producer Evan Morgan's basement, but it was all my stuff. And yes, my dream as a kid, still now in many ways, was to be a professional Magic card player. I thought it was like the greatest game in the world. For many years of my life, I was obsessed with Magic cards. All I did was play Magic cards, think about Magic cards. I still have a lexiconic memory of like every single flavor text of every single card released, like between like 1996 and 2004. Like my friends and I would play games where they would just read flavor text, and I would have to guess what the card was.
Oh my.
But
I was slightly into it, but it was funny actually. Like a year ago, I had for some reason decided to get into Magic the Gathering again, and I played for like maybe a month and then
what set?
abandoned it.
What set? Was it Return to Ravnica?
No, it was when was I think it might have been right around when like the 2011 core set came out,
Okay, all right.
or maybe it was the 2012 core set. I can't remember.
Well, they're always a year ahead. So if it was
Yeah.
in 2010, it would have been 2011.
So yeah, so it was probably the 2012 set, and there was that, and I can't remember. There was one of the sets that came out right after that core set, and I don't remember what it was called, but it had all the like attachments that you could get. Shit, I can't remember. But it was fun. I played online a lot too because I couldn't
People
I couldn't
play.
bring myself to go to how they do that
Friday Night
Friday.
Magic.
Yeah, Friday Night Magic.
I think that's one of the big stumbling blocks of the game like that is that the people, and this is no disrespect, Mark Rosewater. I don't mean any disrespect here, but the people who play Magic cards typically are always like they've got social problems. A lot of these guys can't they're kind of uptight and they use. I notice a lot of people use Magic cards to gain status and to gain power, and these are people who would not normally have power in any kind of social structure at all. And so a lot of times when you go to these Magic card tournaments, it's very funny, very much like the Dirties. Like it's people who have used this very oblique thing to get power, and you can see that that can have some very very strange results when you get these kind of socially incredibly awkward, quite a lot of these times these guys are quite angry, and yet they're real stars of this small community. I love it. I love it.
A lot of body odor going on in those stores. All right, well,
I'm happy you noticed that.
Yeah. I noticed all the little pop culture things. That was what kind of drew me in because I'm into the same stuff. So I think weren't you playing? You were playing Street Fighter on Super Nintendo in one of the or wait, what were you playing?
We were playing Mario Kart 64.
Mario Kart, yeah.
But I played a ton of Street Fighter in Nirvana the band, the show, tons of it. And in fact, just last night I was driving in Toronto, and a guy thought that me and my friends were making fun of him. I don't know why. And he was on the street corner with his friend, and he charged the car at 2:30 a.m. and it was like Ryu in the bonus stage of Street Fighter. He literally just went nuts on it. He was just punching and kicking and drop kicking the car. It was literally like he was trying to just turn it into smoking axles within 30 seconds. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay from that. How's the car?
Only the back windshield was shattered, but the rest of the car was okay, and it was worth it for the story. It was insane. It was literally Ryu versus the car. It was unbelievable.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up. Matt, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Matt. Be sure to head over to the site of filmpulse.net, read our full review for the film, and we'll be sure to announce the release date as soon as it becomes available. And I highly recommend, as soon as you can, check this movie out because it's fantastic. It's fan-fucking-tastic. Kevin.
Okay. All right.
All right?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Let's talk about something we've been watching.
Let's
I think last week I started, so we can start with you this week.
Fine. Whatever.
I
only watched a couple of films here. And if you may recall, last week I mentioned that I had The Searchers to watch. I was jumping into this whole Western thing. So I started off with a John Ford classic starring John Wayne. And it was alright. Now this is... Have you ever seen The Searchers, Adam?
No, I haven't.
Okay. This is not only considered one of the greatest Westerns of all time, this is also considered one of the greatest movies of all time. I can't quite remember. It is on the what is that? The Sight and Sound Top 100. I think it's in the top 10 or something like that. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
I'm honestly not a big fan of Westerns, especially old Westerns.
Yeah.
So
now this is from 1956, and this is number 7 on Sight and Sound's top 50. This is right after 2001: A Space Odyssey. And at number 7, John Ford, who also did Stagecoach, which is apparently amazing. So I figured the best way to start this whole Western thing would be to start with John Ford, John Wayne, one of the best movies in the world. And I have to say I wasn't that impressed. Definitely not artistically speaking. The cinematography, not really anything to speak of. I mean, the landscapes look amazing, out in the desert and everything, with the canyons and the plateaus and just the wide open spaces. But again, it's one of those things where we've talked about this before, where the natural beauty of the setting and surroundings and the landscapes, you have to be absolutely terrible to fuck that up and not capture it on film. So I don't really give any credit there. The only thing that did surprise me was John Wayne, who was amazing in this film. and he plays like a racist asshole. Just, I mean, murderous. He has bloodlust. He just wants to kill everything, really, and most notably Native Americans. So that was sort of like a caught me off guard a little bit because I mean, I'm completely new to John Wayne. I haven't seen a lot of films by him. I don't know if I've ever seen an entire film that he's been in. I don't know. Have you?
I don't think so. I was just thinking about that when you were saying it.
I mean, I'm sure there's one in there somewhere that I've
I know
seen.
it's terrible. It's terrible for me to say that.
I know, and to be quite honest, and I know this will probably come off as asinine, but I sort of have this idea, this understanding that he's, like the all-American hero, and he plays like great, American heroes in all of his films with the high moral ground and all that. So I was a little bit taken back by this character. I didn't realize that he played, you know, different types of characters throughout his career, which is honestly pretty stupid of me to think. But you know what I mean? You sort of have this understanding that that's what John Wayne is.
Right, yeah.
He's the all-American hero. In this movie, he's not really. I mean, he gets like a little bit of redemption at the end, which is a bit of bullshit. And essentially, this film is based off of true events where Native Americans would come in and steal white people's children and raise them as their own. So that's sort of the whole idea here. His niece is stolen, and he's searching for her for like 5, 6 years, and it's all about them searching for her. And I mean, they do a good job of pacing and everything, but it's so dumbed down to me. There's no complexity to it at all. It's just kid gets kidnapped, they chase, they give up for a little bit, they find out where he is, chase him again, finally catch up to him, get the kid back. And everything pretty much goes exactly how you think it would. Now, the one thing that I also did not know is, and I know this now because of Star Wars, the scene involving Luke Skywalker, being taken out and his what was that, his uncle?
Mm-hmm.
His uncle and his aunt being killed. That's pretty much based off of The Searchers.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
So I have to say I was a little disappointed by this film. Also, I'm not too excited about watching other Westerns, but I don't know, maybe it'll get better with like Sergio Leone and stuff. We'll see. But goddamn, they're so boring.
I think you'll like if you have the original Django on that list, right?
Yes, I do.
I think you'll like that one.
Yeah, I think I will like that one. I mean, for the love of God, it's dragging around a coffin with a machine gun in it.
Is El Topo on that list?
El Topo is not on that list, but I obviously would like to watch.
That's not like a Western in the traditional sense, really, either.
But I think those are the ones that I'm going to like more. And then the only other movie I watched was A Silent Light by Carlos Regadas, which mostly because he has his new film out that I really want to see, which is Post Tenebris Lux, which you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the film that won him was it the Palme d'Or? No, it won the jury prize. Won the jury prize at the 2007 Cannes Film Festival. So check this out. This was a pleasant surprise. I mean, you're talking about infidelity in a Mennonite community in Mexico, and it is a slow burn. I mean, slow. It's essentially like a Bergman movie.
Sounds right up your alley.
Right up my alley, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was a little bizarre seeing because in the entire movie they speak Low German throughout. Even though it's set in Mexico, they still speak that Low German, which is sort of like German mixed with Dutch, which I'm a little bit used to, being in Lancaster County, hearing that. I don't know if it's like the exact same language that they speak, but I definitely recognized it. So that was a little odd seeing, and they were all real-life Mennonite people from the community in Mexico starring in this film, and the main guy, Cornelia Wall, who's the husband, does a great job for being a first-time actor. And I don't know if this is really a recommend, because I have a feeling if you like slow burn dramas, then yes, it's a recommend. I mean, it's 136 minutes, and there's some really slow shots. I mean, this film starts out with a sunrise, like in full time,
Mm.
just sunrise for like 6 minutes. That's it. And it ends with the sunset, 6 minutes, just full on sunset.
I think that it'll be interesting once you see Post Tenebris Lux to compare the two, because it sounds like it's that Post Tenebris Lux is, as far as content wise, definitely different. Because I didn't find Post Tenebris Lux to be a slow burn at all.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I think
this,
that it'll be interesting. I guess for some people maybe because it's I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah, I'll be interested to hear
yeah. I
the
mean, I'm
comparison.
extremely excited to see Post Tenebris Lux, and even more so now after watching Silent Light because I enjoyed it so much. And it's a slow burn because it's essentially the main character, the husband who has an extramarital affair, is he's having his emotional struggles, but on top of it, it's also the spiritual struggles that he has with it being Mennonite. But the way that they deal with the extramarital affair was quite refreshing. Like it's not he didn't have the affair like out of lust or anything like that. He just essentially fell in love with another woman, and he's completely open with his wife and tells her everything, and which makes it more painful for her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely refreshing to see. It's sort of like a different take on the whole affair, which it seems like we see how many movies of that every year. It's the whole extramarital affair thing.
Yeah.
So it was a different take. It's refreshing.
Cool.
And then I saw Hangover 3, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
I had a pretty full week. I started out the week with a movie called Last House on Dead End Street, which was my Grindhouse Weekly feature. This was kind of I don't know how to describe it. It was this extremely gruesome exploitation flick that came out in 1977, and there's a lot of speculation about this movie. Maybe not speculation, but it's one of these movies that kind of got lost for a long time. Like the copies of it just sort of disappeared, and the director, his name was Roger Watkins. First of all, no one even knew who he was until many years later, because in the movie's credits, everybody uses pseudonyms. Like everybody, including
I was just gonna say I'm on the IMDb page and all the names are completely different.
yeah. So everybody used pseudonyms for some reason, and no one even knew who directed this movie or who was in it. And decades later, this guy came out and said, "Yeah, I did this movie," and he also stars in it. And it's just this really bad, extremely graphic movie about this guy who goes to jail for drug possession. And he spends a year in jail, he gets out, and he decides that he wants to start making snuff films.
Sure.
So he gets this like crew of people that like love him for some reason, and then they just start filming different murdering different people. And it's all very, very violent and very hard to watch. It all looks pretty real, and it's a tough movie. It's when they called it Last House on Dead End Street, they were clearly trying to cash in on the Last House on the Left,
Yeah.
the success of that. But it's a very different movie in that it's more surreal. It's almost like a drug trip type movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really weird imagery and just kind of strange scenes that happen. They wear these really creepy masks. And it's, I mean, if you're a fan of like this type of movie, might be worth checking out, but I didn't get anything out of it. Like, I didn't think it was anything special. I think that the story behind this movie is actually more interesting. How the director came out and said that they were given a $3,000 budget to make this movie, and he only used $800 to actually create the movie, and he used the rest on drugs, on buying drugs. And
the 70s.
yeah, the 70s. There apparently is a director's cut of this movie that's 3 hours long.
I was gonna say the original version, the Cuckoo Clocks of Hell,
Right.
175 minutes? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, the original movie was over 3 hours long. However, there are no known copies of that in
Oh,
existence.
son of
So
a bitch. Criterion, get on that.
the version that I saw was the 78-minute version. And
Uh,
apparently the director's cut is completely different. So, I don't know. It
that would blow my mind if next year we see that
and it
pop
was
up.
like amazing. Well, see, the thing is, even the 78-minute cut is extremely hard to find. It's on Amazon, but it's like $100
Mm.
on DVD.
Lord
So
mercy.
it's a tough movie to find. But if you can get the DVD, and if you're into this like cult horror cinema, the DVD is a double disc, and it's got like a ton of special features and stuff on it. So
Wow.
I would recommend checking that out. And the artwork's really cool on the cover. So it's for fans of classic horror, I would say check it out. It is actually scary. So there were several moments that were extremely creepy. So it's not like complete garbage. I saw the original Maniac movie from 1980, and this might end up on this week's Grindhouse Weekly. I'm not sure yet. Because I did see the new one with Elijah Wood recently, and it's pretty good too. I was surprised. It's again very creepy, really gross, like extremely gory and violent, and basically it's just about this crazy guy who likes to kill women and scalp them and put their scalps on mannequins.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a classic. I would say it's definitely worth a watch. I saw House, not the Japanese one. This is the American one from 1986. It's just there's no relation, just name only.
Yeah.
This it's kind of a horror comedy.
Shoot. I was gonna say because looking at the cover for this, Ding Dong, You're Dead. I
Yeah.
was hoping that that's not serious.
Yeah, it's a horror comedy about this guy. He's a writer. He moves into this house that is his aunt owned, and it's haunted, and crazy stuff happens. But the interesting thing is that George Wendt is his neighbor from
Yes.
Cheers,
Yes. Yes.
and I don't know his name, but the guy who played Bull in Night Court is
What?
also in it.
No. Bull is in this film.
Yes,
Oh,
that's all I really need to mention about House.
Yeah, you don't need to say anymore. That's an automatic recommend.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I mean,
Which
I
is
feel like
it's Richard Mole, by the way. It's
okay.
Bull.
I feel like in during this time in '86, they were using a lot of like prosthetic creatures and that type of thing, and they did use a lot of that in this movie. And some of it's like kind of goofy. It feels almost like it's trying to rip off Evil Dead 2 in a way,
Yeah.
but it was whatever. Not really worth checking out. Another one I saw that's not worth checking out is Vile, and it's got a double meaning. See, it's vile, like in, gross and horrific, but it's also vile as in like a vial of medicine.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
V-
Deep.
It's
Complicated.
it's spelled VILE, but they also mean it VIAL.
Oh, my goodness.
Basic premise for this movie, which came out in 2012, is that a group of people wake up in a room and they have these machines hooked up to the back of their necks that
Uh-huh.
extract adrenaline and dopamine from them.
Okay.
And in order for them to get out of this room alive, they must torture each other in order to make their bodies produce dopamine and adrenaline.
Okay. Wait. Oh, wait. Why? Why do they have to do that?
Because there's this
Isn't that why they're in there?
drug dealer that's taking the adrenaline and the dopamine and like turning them into pill form and selling them on the street as a drug.
Okay. But I mean, isn't torturing each other helping him out more?
Yeah, but see that the way they're hooked up to these machines, that if they don't extract enough within like, it was like 2 or 3 hours, then they're all gonna die. Because like there was the way that it was set up is there's these tubes on the back of their neck with these 2 vials. One is empty and one contains poison. So if they don't do it within the allotted amount of time, it releases the poison into them and they die. Okay. It's me taking the 3 minutes to describe the plot is entirely too much for this movie.
I did notice that the lead singer of Tool plays a special agent.
I didn't even know that. It's really bad. I mean, the acting is horrible. It's basically just your kind of typical torture porn movie that's just ripping off Hostel. Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
Wow.
It's on Netflix Instant. I watched it when I was bored one night. So I saw Fast 5 because I never saw it before. I said last week that I might be watching this because I had given up on the Fast and Furious movies. So I decided to give it another go and watch Fast 5. And, I didn't hate it. It was pretty average as far as an action movie, although I will say that there were a couple action scenes that I liked quite a bit. A couple of the car chase scenes. I mean, the acting is horrible. The plot is stupid. All the dialogue is completely ridiculous. And there's several plot holes and logic problems that plague the movie throughout. But overall, it was still an enjoyable movie to watch.
It doesn't sound like a Fast and Furious movie.
That leads me to my next watch, which was Fast and Furious 6.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that this week. This is not... I didn't like this anywhere even close to Fast 5, which is to say, Fast 5 I thought was average. This I didn't like at all. Like, first of all, it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, what's up with that nowadays? Why is every fucking film over, like,
I don't know,
close to 2.5 hours?
I don't know. I was waiting for this to be over. Like, there's this scene that happens at the end of the movie that you see it in the trailer. It's on a runway and they're fighting on a plane, and that scene lasts so long. And I'm sitting there in the theater and I'm like, I can't believe that after this is over, we still have a whole like wrap up scene, to wrap everything up after this is over. And I don't understand, because there's maybe 3 big action set pieces in this, and the rest is just this stupid like character stuff, and it's like the dialogue's probably worse than the last one. And here's the thing that I don't get is that this movie has like a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. Like, critics are liking this a lot, and it brought in a ton of money this weekend, and I just don't get it, because it is not, I'm sorry, but it's not a good movie. What you see in the trailer, you see the scene with the tank, and that scene is really cool. I liked that. And there's another scene involving these weird modified cars that sit really low to the ground, and they can like flip other cars. Mm-hmm. You see part of that in the trailer as well. Okay. And then the big set piece at the end on the plane, which is entirely too long. Like, it feels like that runway must be 50 miles long. Mm. And they all have these harpoon guns for some reason too, which I don't understand. They're like shooting harpoons everywhere. It just didn't work for me. It just didn't work on any level. Some of it was just laughable, the dialogue. And then there's this scene, I think they also showed this in the trailer, where Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel get launched from their cars on a bridge, and he catches her in the air. And it's just, you're just like, oh my God, this is completely ridiculous. And I know that a lot of people, we gave it a 7.5 on the site in our review. So there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's just, it's a summer popcorn movie, can't expect a lot. I think a lot of people are giving it a pass. And I don't think that it should get a pass just because it's supposed to be a dumb summer action movie.
Yeah. This sounds awful. Now, um, if I can recall correctly, I think I saw the first one, or I'm sure I saw enough parts of it that I can count as seeing the whole thing. But I've never seen anything after the first one. And we talked about this before because of Ryan being so into it. But what the hell happened in that time period? Because I thought they were just like racing cars, and now they're an elite team of like criminals pulling off a like amazing heist.
Yeah.
Shit, what happened? What did they go to like high school or something?
A lot of stuff happened. I mean, the plot of these movies has really evolved from just doing street races and running from the cops to these big heist movies. I mean, it's basically
Being the greatest criminals the world has ever seen.
yeah, like the last one in Fast Five, it was basically a heist movie, and they were trying to pull off this big heist, and The Rock was like the cop that was trying to bring them down. He wasn't a cop; he was part of like some military special forces, whatever. And in this one, The Rock recruits Vin Diesel and his team
Oh,
to take down this criminal like boss.
what? Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean that's
This sounds
like I'm telling you, this is one of these movies where if you think about it for any length of time, everything falls apart, and you're just like, why is our military hiring this group of criminals to take down this guy if he's so if he's so bad and evil and whatever, just send a drone to kill him, you know?
I, and people will probably not understand this right now, but bad writing to me and plot holes are like flying lemurs.
Yeah.
Those are my flying lemurs. It just sounds irritating.
Oh yeah, it's extremely irritating, and there's so many problems with it. But like I said, there are a few action scenes that I did enjoy, but it's
Yeah.
just they're in the middle of all this crazy shit that you're just like, "Oh my God." And Gina Carano's in this one too. And of course, they're going to make her fight, but she's in like one fight scene and it's or maybe it's two, but it's either way it's pathetic. Like she's incredibly underutilized, and they give her like two lines of dialogue because she's not. I mean, let's be honest, she's not the best actress.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention: two surprise cameos in this. First, the guy from Teddy Bear is in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the main guy from Teddy Bear's in it. He's one of the henchmen of the bad guys, and he fights The Rock at the end.
Awesome.
Yep. So I actually like that. And then the guy that's in Keep the Lights On, the main guy from Keep the Lights On.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's in it. He plays this kooky mechanic that builds. He built the crazy
The flipping
cars.
cars.
Yeah.
Flipping cars.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, there's a little snippet of Fast and Furious 7 after this one.
Oh my God, there's going to be a set.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so you stay
Oh my
after
God.
the credits, you get a little taste. And I will say, if you don't want that spoiled, don't look on the IMDb because I believe it spoils it on the IMDb page.
Mm.
I'm just going to tell you what it is right now.
Well, I read it. I think
Oh,
I,
you did?
is it,
Okay.
is it,
The new person. They're adding a new person.
okay. You got, it makes complete sense. I mean,
Yeah. So
Jesus.
anyway, that's Fast and Furious 6. I didn't like it, and I quite honestly don't understand why everybody is loving this movie.
Right.
And then finally, the last one I saw was Behind the Candelabra, which premiered.
I'm so pissed off about this because me and my wife went to Philly. And we get into the hotel, and of course, we have HBO in the hotel. And I'm so excited because I'm like, yes, I get to see Beyond the Candelabra. But no, it's playing the night of the day that we leave. Like, we
Right.
check out in the morning and it played at night, so I didn't get to see it. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking of staying another night just to be able to watch this movie.
Didn't that happen to you some other time, like not too long ago?
I think it did. I can't remember what movie it was though. But I
Well,
think I do
anyway,
recall that.
This is the HBO film directed by Steven Soderbergh, stars Michael Douglas and Matt Damon. and Michael Douglas is Liberace. I have a review posted now. I like this a lot, and I will say one of the big surprises was Rob Lowe in this movie. He plays their plastic surgeon, and they did this thing to his face where they like tightened his face, and it is so funny looking. And Rob Lowe is so ridiculous in this role. I loved it. But I was pretty impressed with this movie. I mean, it's funny how it seems like HBO always has a knack for making big stars do these like really transformative roles and kind of forces them to leave their comfort zone, I guess. Like there's a lot of like male sex happening in this movie between Michael Douglas and Matt Damon. Like that surprised me quite a bit. And they both did phenomenal work. I mean, this might be Michael Douglas's, I don't know if it's his best performance, but it's up there. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, I gotta say, from watching the trailers and stuff, Michael Douglas looks amazing in this.
yeah, I mean, he's incredible in it. And the tough thing, like during the makeout and sex scenes, and there are quite a number of them, I had a hard time just kind of pulling away, like when I was watching that, I was like, oh, it's Michael Douglas and Matt Damon making out, you know what I mean? Like I had a hard time separating the movie from what was actually happening. But I mean, that's not to the fault of the movie. That's just me being weirded out by seeing that. But for the rest of the time, they all like his voice and his mannerisms. I mean, it was crazy. So I highly recommend that. But if you want to read my thoughts in detail, just check out the review.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
It's really good. I mean, it's kind of structured like your typical biopic, but there's just all these little things that Soderbergh injects into the movie that make it just a little bit more than just your kind of typical biopic. Like it's even small things like first of all, when the movie starts, he uses the old HBO logo, like the one from back when it back in the 70s.
I love when he does that.
It's just little things like that where you're just like, oh yeah. But highly recommend it. It pisses me off that that movies like this don't get theatrical releases because it deserves one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think with this one, this could be considered for awards because it premiered at Cannes in the theater. So
true.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is able to win like Oscars and stuff like that.
I would, yeah, I think it will.
But
I think they'll count it.
I don't know if it'll be considered, but it's really good nonetheless. That's all I saw. So let's go ahead and get right into this Hangover 3 talk. Let me pull up this IMDb page here. So The Hangover Part 3, written and directed by Todd Phillips. It stars everybody from the other ones. More Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, Zach Galifianakis, Justin Bartha. Ken Jeong plays a larger role in this one. And then we have John Goodman, Melissa McCarthy, Jeffrey Tambor's in it. Which reminds me, I also wanted to mention Arrested Development Season 4 out on Netflix.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't need to talk about it because I think everybody's probably watching it right now anyway. But
I'm glad that you brought this up because I do have to say that I love the show and everything. I'm a little sick and tired right now. I mean, it is fucking everywhere. Dude, there's a website my wife always goes to get like recipes and stuff because she does a lot of cooking on the weekends. They have like posts about Arrested Development on that fucking website. It's a recipe website. Are you kidding me? It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Have you watched any of them yet?
Not yet.
I watched the first 3. I watched the first 3, and I'm happy with it so far. I had a big concern about because we're like 8 years removed from the the last season, something
Yeah.
like that. I was worried that they wouldn't be able to capture the same tone, but I mean, they got everything is the same. I mean, it other than the people looking older, some of the people,
Mhm.
it's got the same feel. And I do see how, because it's structured like every episode is about one of the family members,
Yeah.
and I can see how that could be problematic for some people that like the interaction between the family members when they're all together.
Mhm.
But so far, I've enjoyed it. But I'm only three episodes in, so maybe we can talk about that more next week.
All right.
So, anyway, Heather Graham is also in this. Mike Epps, some other people. I'll read the synopsis.
People.
This time, there's no wedding, no bachelor party. What could go wrong, right? But when the wolf pack hits the road, all bets are off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're working on a review for this, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'll start. I hated this movie. I hated it with pretty much every fiber of my being. I hated it. I thought it was incredibly unfunny, and I didn't think that it added anything to the story, and I just wanted it to be over. Like 5 minutes in, I just wanted it to be over. I was done. I checked out.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree and say that it was amazing. And by that, I mean, no, I completely agree with you.
I was gonna say.
No.
I believe for a second there I was like, wait a minute, what? How?
No. I mean, I didn't like absolutely hate it, but good Lord, you're right. It's pretty much unfunny throughout the entirety of its, what, like 100 minutes? It was
Yeah.
almost 2 hours long. The main thing that this film has going against it is there's too much of Chow.
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean, I didn't really like Mr. Chow in the other films, but he was only in it sparingly, so it wasn't, too bad. He never really worn out his welcome. But here, holy shit, it's just way too much of him. And the worst part is Ken Jeong is, I don't know if you noticed this, but throughout the movie, he almost like he loses the accent.
Yeah, he loses it.
At certain points. Like, you can tell these guys are just fucking sick and tired of doing this movie. Like, all of them are just phoning it in completely, just sleepwalking through this film to the point where Ken Jeong he doesn't even use the correct voice throughout the film. Are you kidding me? I don't understand the injection of John Goodman. I mean, he's completely wasted. I don't understand why he's in the film at all. But, just for like, hey, we got him to be in it.
Also,
isn't that cool?
Yeah, also the scene where they go back to see Heather Graham, completely pointless. Like, it was almost as if they were trying to just put her in there and put the baby in there just to bring them back, as like a little reunion. But that scene was almost completely pointless and unfunny in every way, and they just that whole thing felt just shoehorned in.
Yes.
And I think that was my biggest problem with this movie. I mean, I've seen much worse movies, but the reason that I hated this is because you can see the potential. These three guys, they have such a good chemistry, and all three of them are very funny actors. And it was just such a disappointment to have this movie where they're all completely underutilized and everything that they do is unfunny. And it was almost like, it's not just that the jokes weren't working, it was that they weren't even there. It was like it wasn't even supposed to be funny.
No, I mean, that coupled with the fact that a lot of the stuff, it felt like they were just phoning it in. Like, I didn't feel like anything from like Bradley Cooper and Ed Helms. Like, it just seemed like they were just like, spouting off their lines. Like, let's just get through this, finish filming so we can go on with our lives. We just got to give them another one. That's all we got to do. Just hang in there, guys. And I mean, it becomes extremely redundant too. I mean, how many times did you hear Ed Helms scream, "What the fuck is going on?" Like it happened like every 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, and plus I felt like nothing was at going at, where the other two, kind of the strong suit of the other two is that everything's going at 11, like there's just so much chaos that's happening,
Hmm.
and the situations that they've got themselves into are so ridiculous and outlandish and crazy. But in this one, everything felt more subdued, like one of the big things about the first two is the shock value,
Hmm.
like just the crazy shit that's going on. But in this one, everything just felt so much more tame and calm.
Yes.
And I think as a result, it all just felt very flat for me.
Yes. Yes. Extremely. Extremely so.
Now there were several scenes that made me laugh. For some reason, the scene when Ken Jeong is singing the karaoke, and they show Bradley Cooper sitting at the table. He just goes, "What the fuck am I watching right now?" Just that one line made me laugh, and I think that was like one of the only things that made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much for me that made me laugh. A bunch of throwaway lines from Galifianakis, and a lot of decisions that he makes, like in things that he wears and stuff, made me chuckle or chortle.
And yeah,
But
yeah, there were some chortles happening on my end too.
no, I mean, because I gotta be honest, the only reason I watched this is because of Zach Galifianakis. To me, if he wasn't in the original, I don't find the original funny at all if he's not in it. Because all of his lines are the only things that make me laugh. Bradley
Yeah, I
Cooper
mean,
and Ed Helms really don't do anything that make me laugh in the original.
and it's all because they're bouncing lines off of him too. It's
Yeah.
all they're reacting to him, and that's why that's working.
So I throw that out there right away is that if Zach Galifianakis isn't in the first one, I probably wouldn't have liked it that much. Now, here, I was hoping that I could be like, yeah, this was really funny. I enjoyed it. It's just people don't get his humor. But even him, he can't save this.
No,
And I mean, he's not really even trying. It just seemed like no one was trying in this film. They just wanted it to be over with.
yeah, and I thought that we don't need to get into a spoiler section for this because it's just not. There's really nothing worth spoiling. But the end I thought was it ended so abruptly, and it was so anticlimactic that I was just like that's it. In fact, I heard or audibly heard several people in my theater go, "That's it."
Yeah.
like okay, like that's it. Just kind of ends, and it's such a disappointment.
It's just very, very, very lazy on all
Yeah,
fronts. I mean, yeah, there was a couple throwaway lines, like I said, that I thought were funny. I love the fact that Alan was so adamant that his dad get it correct that he was 42 and not 40.
yeah,
He's just so pissed off at that. I'm trying to remember other ones, and hell, I just saw this. Like I saw this 3 hours ago, and I'm having trouble remembering some of it.
yeah.
I'm,
I
I'm
felt
almost at a complete loss as to what happened.
well, and I think that's it. Just it. It's forgettable.
It's
Like
extremely forgettable, and yeah, just way too much Mr. Chow. There's no reason he should be
what you
the
think of
the,
the
the main character.
the opening with the giraffe scene.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was just ridiculous. I did love the fact that he's drinking a beer very openly while he's
Yeah.
driving. Uh, but that's it. It just seemed really ridiculous. And there was a lot of things in the film too that were just so preposterous. And normally I don't care because for me a comedy just make me laugh. That's all you got to do. But when you're not making me laugh, plus you're putting in plot points that are so unbelievably preposterous, it's like holy shit. This is a fucking mess.
Yep.
Why is this happening? Why did we need this? We didn't
And
need it.
it's funny because they were really saying in this one, like, yes, it's not going to be the same as the first two. We're getting away from the whole they've been drugged formula and all this stuff, and they did get away from that. I'll give them that. But
Mhm.
they did make a solid attempt at creating something different.
Yes. But I
But
wish they stuck with the formula.
yeah, I mean, part of me wishes that they would have stuck with the formula now because I thought everything with Chow was so bad. Like, I just couldn't stand it. And I like Ken Jeong. I think he's funny, but
In small doses.
this whole well, I think he's funny if he's not trying to be an Asian stereotype.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that too.
Like, it's just that was not working for me at all. And like the scene with Melissa McCarthy was, there were a couple chuckles to be had in there, but again, she was like barely used at all.
Yeah.
It all felt just so underwhelming and lame and boring, and
God.
it's a shame.
I've never, I don't know if I've ever really seen this in a film where the indifference from the characters was almost palpable. From the actual, like, there was points where you could tell that they didn't want to be there. They just want to get, like, Bradley Cooper's like, okay, I'm like a big time actor now. I don't want to do this anymore. Just try and do my lines as quick as possible, get out of here, get my paycheck, go back to making other films.
Well, the other thing that I thought was a lot of it felt dated. Like a lot of the camera stuff that Todd Phillips used and a lot of the music and stuff, it all felt really dated. It felt like, and for some reason I always feel like this is kind of, a lot of his movies are like this, where he's just a little bit behind the curve when it comes to like camera tricks and camera techniques and trends and stuff. Like they use that, camera strapped to the person while they're running thing, and just the music selection, like it all just felt dated to me.
Yeah, this is it's just, it's awful. And I was completely ready because I mean I heard some rumblings, people not liking it and everything, and people complaining about it, and I thought, you know what, people said the same thing about part two. I enjoyed part two. I thought it was funny. I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing for part three. And about 20 minutes in, I was like, nah, I think people are right. I see what they're saying. I definitely get it.
It's unfortunate. I mean, hopefully this will be it. They won't decide to squeeze another one out. It definitely seems like this is going to be the end. I don't think any of these guys will be.
Yeah, God, I hope not. They need to do other things.
Maybe it would have been better if they waited a couple more years to make this.
Yeah, I think that would have been a much better idea.
But I think just a lot of it falls on the script. Like I think that it's just such a boring script.
It's boring. It's lazy. And the worst part is that this took up their time. Like they could have been making something else, but instead they were making this. Sucked up like a year of their life.
There you have it.
So it's worse. It's worse. It's worse for them than it is for us.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
Actually.
I feel bad for
them. They had to spend a significant. We only had to deal with it for 100 minutes. They had to deal with it for God knows how long, 6 months, and now they're probably contractually obligated to go on like the press runs.
Now, was there a thing like at the end of the movie? Like after the credits or anything? Because I was so done with this film that I just left.
No, I don't. I think I just left too. I don't remember anything other than like the montage at the end where they were showing clips of the previous movies and stuff at the end. But yeah, I didn't. I don't think so. But I just left. I was done. I checked out.
It's like I got things to do. I got shirts to iron. You get the hell out of here.
All right.
Oh, one more thing, and this is just something that I've never had this happen before. But number one, before the film, I had like 14 previews to sit through, like 14 trailers. It was ridiculous. I've never seen so many, but also never had this happen. 2 trailers for Man of Steel.
Nice.
I had bookend trailers. Started with the Man of Steel, and they did like 13 other ones, and then it ended with a Man of Steel trailer. I'm like, what the hell is going on? They're really pushing this.
Every movie that I've seen for like the last month has had a World War Z trailer in it, and
I had one.
freaking claw my eyes out every time that trailer comes on.
Yeah,
We sat down in the theater because I just saw Fast and Furious 6 on Saturday, and then Sunday I go to see Hangover Part 3, and I sit down and I go, if there's a World War Z trailer, I'm getting up and leaving, coming back when it's over. And there was, and I did.
I felt the same way with Life of Pi. Every time I would hear that
Oh
music
my God,
start,
yes.
I would just...
That was bad too. I remember. That one was bad. All right, so what are you gonna give Hangover Part 3 out of 10?
I would. This is
And your score can change after you write the review, because I know how that goes.
because I'm starting off at a 3. That's where I was. That was initial rating. But after talking about it just now, and the fact that I really can't remember much of the good parts, which there are a few, but the fact that they were so unmemorable that I can't remember them 3 hours later, this might drop down to a 2.
I think I'm sitting somewhere around a 2.5. So there you go. Hangover Part 3, probably not worth checking out, unfortunately. Probably one of the, well, it's tough. I was going to say it's probably one of the biggest disappointments of the year, but I honestly didn't have very high hopes for it to begin with. So
No, and that's the other thing too, with it being, phoned in and lazy and everything. It seemed like even the marketing for this film was just really lazy and rushed. Like, hey, we finished this movie. Here's the Hangover 3.
I remember
Come check it out.
Yeah, I remember the trailers for the Hangover 2 were so awesome when they came out, and they were just so well done. And then this one was just kind of average.
And it even felt like they were saying, like, hey, we're finally done. This is the last one. It's over. We're not going to bother you anymore. If you don't have anything to do this Memorial Day weekend, just pop in and check it out. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Just being nice about it. Not being pushy.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about some predictions. The Hangover Part 3, we'll start there. I said 63, you said 60, actual 20 on Hangover Part 3. Fast and Furious 6, I said 50, you said 66. Actual on that one is 72.
Wow.
Yeah. And then finally, Epic, the movie that I forgot
that came
existed. Yeah. I said 67, you said 76. Actual on that was 62. So not horrible. Not horrible.
No.
Also, Before Midnight came out in select cities. We do have a review for that up on the site. That got a 97.
Oh, give me a fucking break.
And we have Ernie reviewed that, and he gave it a 9 out of 10. So I'm extremely. I know that you're gonna hate on it no matter what, but I'm extremely excited to see that.
I'm gonna hate it, definitely. But that was the another thing that I forgot to mention. Is in the beginning, when Hangover 3 comes on, I'm like, yes, Ernie. I'm looking for Ernie.
Yeah, I looked for him too. Actually, yeah, we should mention that to the listeners. Our writer, Ernie Trinidad, was in The Hangover 3 in the opening scene in the prison.
The prison riot. But the funny thing is I'm looking for him, and then finally realized I'm like, I have no idea what Ernie looks like. So I'm not gonna fucking recognize him. Why the hell am I looking for him?
I looked for him. I do know what he looks like, and I looked for him, but I didn't see him. I'll have to ask if he saw himself in there, because I'm sure that he knows what the scene was.
Yeah.
So, all right, next week we have After Earth. This is the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
What are you thinking on this bad boy?
I'm thinking 58.
58?
58.
Now, I kind of hope that this is good, but it seems like with M. Night Shyamalan stuff, it's either like 90 or it's like 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say, I'm just going to go out there and say 12. We have Now You See Me. This is the magic thriller. I'm actually curious to see this. I hope that it's good, but I'm going to say 46.
Oh, magic. I'm gonna go like a 60.
Good cast in it.
Looks interesting.
Those are the only two that I think are getting wide release. There are a number of limited release movies that I wanted to mention. Kings of Summer is the big one. If that's playing in your area, you should definitely check that out.
I wish.
The East is also hitting select cities. I don't know about an on-demand release for the East, but if that is going to be on demand, I would check that out too.
Yes.
That looks quite good. American Mary, which I had a chance to see, and I would give that a light recommend. And The History of Future Folk is also going to be playing in New York on May 31st, and that's going to be on demand in June. I think it's like June 4th or something like that. So check that out as well. Then we have DVD and Blu Ray releases. This is for Tuesday, May 28th. We have Dark Skies, which is that it's like an alien horror thing.
Yeah. Who gives a shit?
Doesn't look very good.
No, it's awful.
Generation which is that Keanu Reeves movie.
That looks terrible.
I was kind of curious to check it out. The Numbers Station, which is with John Cusack. Don't know too much about that, but I'm sure it's probably not good. That's pretty much it as far as major releases. We do have Beetlejuice, the animated series, season 1.
Nice.
Yeah. Black Knight on Blu-ray, Martin Lawrence.
Oh my god, check that. That is a definite recommend right
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of that one. Also, Airheads and Bedazzled, little Brendan Fraser.
Nice.
Little Brendan Fraser action.
Is he making a comeback? Is this marking a comeback?
I just saw he was in some straight-to-DVD release like last week or something.
He's in every straight-to-DVD release.
And it looks so bad. I can't remember.
I think he's actually making some straight-to-VHS releases as well.
He's bringing it back.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I think there is at least one Criterion, isn't there?
We have Mike Lee's Life is Sweet from 1990 out on the Blu-ray there, which I definitely would like to see this. I enjoy Mike Lee films.
There you have it.
But I have not seen this one, so
No, I haven't either.
hopefully I'll see it soon.
I don't think I have. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up.
All right.
For all latest film news and reviews, visit us at filmpulse.net. Send us an email, feedback@filmpulse.net, and follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet. Be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And we will see you on Wednesday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
Can you remember me? I looked inside the family chair.
Started it out with... Can you still hear the toilet running?